At the end of 2024, the nominations for Game of the Year came out, and in the controversial list of remakes, DLC, and new games stood a poker-like game. Amongst the sea of people calling the game a solitaire or a mobile game as insults, lies a game that one man made for his friends and how it changed his life forever. This is the story of Balatro. Balatro falls under the roguelike gaming category. The definition of a roguelike comes from the associations with the elements from the game Rogue in 1980, where you start over the game in a similar gameplay loop, but your abilities change, giving the gameplay loop a fresh feel because every instance of the game is different. The genre has become very popular in the last couple of years, with the releases of Hades, The Binding of Isaac, Cult of Lamb, Vampire Survivors, and even its inclusion in its own game mode in League of Legends. It's safe to say that the genre is finding its stride, and Balatro's Game of the Year nomination cements it in gaming. But how did we go from trying to escape hell, weird cults, and slaying vampires to card games? Balatro does not have a complicated premise. You combine cards in order of any poker hands, from high card to straight flush. But where the game gets exciting is it's in its introduction to its own roguelike elements in the Joker cards, Tarot cards, Spectral cards, and Planet cards, with different elements such as cards that multiply or add to your score, or Jokers that can recur an ability. The developer of Balatro, nicknamed LocalThunk, is a Canadian developer who originally wanted to make a game for his friends during the pandemic, based on the game Big 2. Initially starting as a game that would let you upgrade your hands. One day, LocalThunk was on Twitch where he was watching Northern Lion and he would play a roguelike game called
Playing Luck Be a Landlord. This was recommended by chat yesterday. It is a new roguelite. It is a deck builder. It is a slot machine. It is an indie game. It's everything. It's everything you want. It's all that in a bag of potato chips.
This would inspire him to add key features to Balatro and the Joker feature. This would completely change the way the game's direction would go. Development would shift to making the Jokers, and while he had ideas for them, he mentions in an interview that the hardest part of the development was learning the pixel art. Early on, the game didn't include any Jokers. The main strategic mechanic was to shop where you upgrade the level of your actual playing cards. The iteration of the game was lacking, and at the time I was mainly looking towards an image of playing cards for inspiration. He would also talk about his struggle with fatigue. There were times I would not touch the game for weeks, even months. But for LocalThunk, at the end of the day, this was a hobby, so it never became frustrating for him. Much of that lack of excruciating development for the game can be attributed to the fact that LocalThunk never expected the game to be anything, starting the project not only for his friends, but with the initial goal to add the game to his development portfolio for job resumes, and he was already in the gaming industry as a developer and as an artist from time to time. When I put the store page back live in May of 2023, I was honestly expecting to sell maybe 2 copies. That wasn't really the reason why I was doing this. I just thought it'd be cool to have this personal project on Steam so I can maybe use it on a resume. The reality is, Balatro would become a monster success. With the release of a demo, it became instantly popular, and in the first 8 hours of its release, it would gross $1 million with 250,000 copies across PC, PS5, Xbox, and Switch. Balatro isn't without its set of controversies. There are people that still view the game as an introduction to gambling, due to its choice of poker cards as its main mechanic and aesthetics. In a tweet theorizing that the game was meant for younger audiences to be more likely to gamble, LocalThunk would quote tweet addressing the concern. From the outside, this might make zero sense, but I hate the thought of Balatro becoming a pure gambling game. So much so that when I recently created my will, I stipulated that the Balatro IP may never be sold or licensed to any gambling company or casino. While these are just concerns over the overall theme of the game, there has been a much bigger controversy regarding the accessibility of the game in Europe. PEGI, the ratings board for games in Europe, would rate Balatro an 18+, and it would be pulled from the Nintendo eShop, effectively eliminating a fifth of the market for the game. PlayStack, the publisher of the game, would address the rating. Balatro does not allow or encourage gambling, and we fundamentally believe the ratings decision is unfounded. Balatro was developed by someone who is staunchly anti-gambling, and painstaking care has been taken to ensure that the game does not feature gambling mechanics of any kind. PEGI gave the game a rating of 18+ because in their rules of rating, any form of gambling that teaches how to gamble is constituted as mature. Balatro makes the player form classic poker hands in order to get points, falling under the 18+ rating. LocalThunk did not take the news of the PEGI rating well. He would go on Twitter and give his reaction to PEGI and another famous franchise a very passive-aggressive reply. Since PEGI gave us an 18+ rating for having evil playing cards, maybe I should add microtransactions, loot boxes, or real gambling elements to lower the rating to a 3+ like EA Sports FC. Balatro is a simple one-time purchase with no microtransactions or DLC. This caused a lot of discussion in favor to LocalThunk due to the predatory actions of games like EA Sports FC, in which you use real money to purchase blind packs for players to use in Ultimate Team. LocalThunk would then follow his tweets talking about the frustration over FC's rating, and not Balatro's. Just to clear it up, I'm way more irked at the 3+ rating for these games with actual gambling mechanics for children than I am Balatro having an 18+ rating. If these other games were rated appropriately, I'd happily accept the weirdo 18+ rating. The red logo looks kinda dope. And then a few days later, LocalThunk would follow up with another tweet. Talk to PEGI and they don't see anything wrong with Balatro being rated 18+, nor with EA Sports FC and similar games having a 3+ rating, blaming EU laws, blaming storefronts, waiting for the future, sitting on their hands. I thought some good might come of this. This sucks. Despite its one controversy, Balatro has been a success all around. Upon nominations at the Game Awards, the sales numbers for Balatro would increase to 4 million copies. It had such impact that it got 5 nominations at the Game Awards: Best Mobile, Best Debut Indie Game, Best Independent Game, Best Game Direction, and the coveted Game of the Year award. While it did not win Best Game Direction or Game of the Year, it would win the other 3.
And the Game Award goes to Balatro. Congratulations again, LocalThunk.
PC Gamer and the Apple App Store made it their Game of the Year as well. Balatro has been an incredible game, and even us at Hidden Levels cannot stop playing it. Despite its rating controversy, the combination with the familiar poker hands, the roguelike elements, the VCR charm, and the gameplay make it one of the best releases of 2024.